Hi there, it's Karen here. Welcome back, and today we're working once again on the Altered Index Challenge 2025 hosted by Suzanne at Non-Stop Paper Crafts. And we've just arrived at the second half of the list, so we've done all the first half of the prompts. Well, when I say all, as you know, I haven't done them all. I've crossed off the ones I have done. I've missed a few, but not too many in my eyes. I've missed about 5 out of the 26. That's not too bad. I've done quite a few. So today's prompt is week 27, and it's maps or travel. So I'm going to do a bit of both, bit of combo of both. I definitely thought I've got enough stuff around that I can cover that prompt without too much trouble. So I'm going to start with my background. Instead of having a painted or stenciled background, I'm going to use this Tim Holtz tissue paper as my background because it's a map tissue paper. So just need to take that out. A lot of the stuff I'm using today is actually what I had left over from when I did my vintage travel journal. Oh, probably a couple of years ago now. It was my first ever attempt at a ring-bound journal. There is a playlist. It probably says ring-bound travel journal or something of that sort. And I had quite a lot of bits of ephemera and definitely this tissue paper left over. So I thought, well, why not use what I have? So it's not quite as long as doesn't quite reach to the bottom, but that's not a problem because I am going to be doing something at the bottom. I'm going to be doing some I think I've just cut this because I want it to cover the paper, so just cut that off because it's a bit. I'm just going to glue it on really, just as it is. So let's just wind that back up, put it back in the pot. So back to my attempt at doing my Altered Index Challenge. I hope you're all well. We're doing okay. Richard and I are pretty tired today. When I get tired, I also get very achy. So I've had a very slow start this morning. Very, very slow. Slower than usual. I'm not usually the quickest off the mark in the mornings. I often don't get into here till near lunchtime, and that's the case today. But we have had quite a week. Being grandparents, I mean, it's been lovely to be able to do it, but it wasn't quite the week we had expected because we knew we were doing quite a lot of grandparenting this week. That was always the plan because my eldest daughter and her husband were celebrating their first anniversary last weekend. This is now Friday, so they thought they'd like to have a couple of days away, going back to the spa hotel where they spent their mini-moon. So that was just like their couple of days that they had immediately after the wedding, and then they went on a big holiday with Alyssa in the school holidays. So they thought it'd be a nice way to celebrate their first year as a married couple. I wouldn't say together because they've been together for a very, very long time. They've been together about 12 years, I think, but only married for 1 year. And so they sort of said to us a while ago, would we be able to pick her up from school on Monday and take her to school on Tuesday, do the same, pick her up again, take her to school Wednesday, and then, it actually does reach more or less to the bottom after all, and then they would be back on Wednesday to pick her up from school that day. And we said, not a problem, we'd be happy to do it. Of course we would. It's why we're here. It's why we moved here. So we could do these things and give them a chance to have these little bits of a break time. So that was always the plan. That was the plan. And as it drew nearer, we could see how hot it was going to be for those 2 days that we were staying with her overnight. Because the plan was we were going to sleep at their house. So we could just walk around to school in the morning, come home, do our thing, go back in the afternoon, and then just spend the nights there with her. But when we realised how hot it was going to be, they were the two hottest days of the year so far, could get hotter, I suppose, because it's still early. Because we realised that was going to be the case, we said, well, actually, we think we'll bring her back here those 2 nights instead of being at theirs, because we're already sleeping downstairs where it's cooler, and the room she would be sleeping in is also downstairs. So we thought, if we do that, everybody will be more comfortable, we'll sleep better, and it'll generally be a little bit easier for us to be at home. So I'll probably be able to cover that up, because I've got a few things to stick on here. Because I've just caught that bit of tissue, it's quite thin. So yeah, so that was the plan. We'd come back here, sleep overnight, and then we'd have to leave pretty earlier than normal on the 2 mornings to get her to school, because we have to travel back in to where she goes to school, and it's it would be 20 minutes on a good day. That time of day, at least half an hour. So the Tuesday morning, she'd been really good. Monday night, no problem at all. I think she was quite excited to have a change to her routine. And she got up. She was really good. Had breakfast, got ready for school. 8 o'clock, we were like, we're doing so well. We're going to be going in a moment. And then she just suddenly said, I feel sick. I thought, oh God. So anyway, she rushed to the bathroom and was probably sick in the toilet. Luckily, in the toilet. She felt it coming. So, but she recovered almost immediately. She said, I think I ate too much breakfast. I don't know if that's something that happens normally, but we sat there for a minute, gave her a bit of time to recover, gave her some water, and she started to get her colour back a little bit. She went terribly white. You could see she suddenly did not feel well. But she felt fine. So we thought, well, we'll see how she goes on the way there, and if she still feels unwell, we'll bring her back home. Anyway, she was fine. Took her into school. We were a bit late. Of course, we'd lost all that advantage that we'd had by getting it ready early. And then as soon as we got back home, we got a call from the school saying she's been, we hear she's been sick, because we thought, well, perhaps if we don't say anything, she looks like she's going to be fine, we'll get away with it. You never get away with things, do you? But no, she told her teacher, of course, that she'd been sick, and so we had to come and bring her home, because there's a 48-hour rule that if a child is sick in the morning, they have to be off school for 48 hours to make sure it doesn't develop into a nasty bug. Which it didn't, as it turned out. It was all fine. But it meant we had 2 days with her that we weren't expecting when she was here all the time. Well, not 2 days. It was all day Tuesday and half day on Wednesday, when she would normally have been at school. But we had her here. So it was fine. She was so good. We played and we did things, and she was okay. We couldn't take her out because it was so hot. So she got a little bit fed up with being indoors, I think, but we insisted. Sorry, I'm not getting on very well here, am I? I must stop talking and start crafting. Right, so I'll come back to the story. There's not much of a story left anyway. So I've got this piece, which I've had for a long time. It's a Jolie's Bayou. It's a dimensional sticker that I've had, goodness knows how long. But it's an ocean liner. So I thought I might use this as my focal point. One of those things when I've cleared out a lot of stuff that I had, especially when I moved, and I'm quite surprised I kept this really, but it just fits. I might just trim off that little bit of the ship at the end there. So I thought I put that there. I'm thinking I might do a bit of texture paste at the bottom, and I want to do some texture paste up here as well. So maybe I should do that first and then work around that. Okay, so what I thought I might do, because I don't really have any stencils that are particularly travel related, but I thought, well, in years gone by, if I'm going to go for a bit of a vintagey vibe, because this gives it a vintage vibe, they used to navigate by the stars when they were travelling, didn't they? So I thought I'd do some stars. I know it's a bit of a loose link, but that's the closest I could come to doing not that one. I thought I'd use my gold texture paste. This is the Heidi Swap Gold, just to do a few stars at the top of the page, or whatever this is, card. I'm just going to squirt a little bit of that out. Okay, and we'll just do some stars across this corner, I think. So there we are. So that, oh, yeah. So anyway, so we had Alyssa for 1.5 days. We had Wednesday afternoon, and then of course we've had Olo as usual on Thursday. So I think by the end of that we felt a little bit tired, just because you don't really get any quiet periods when you've got a small child, or even a young child, 7-year-old child with you. Okay, I've got far too much of my texture paste here. That's a shame. I may grab something else to put it on for future use. I really only wanted a little bit. I got far too much out. So I'm going to use the same stencil. I'm going to do it like that. No, not like that. And I'm just going to cover, or use what I've got. Right, I'm just going to clean up and then I'll be right back. Right, I've cleared everything away. Hope I still fairly central on here. Now the other bit of texture paste I wanted to use was with this stencil, which to me looks a little bit like waves, and I thought it'd be nice just to have a little bit down here, especially as I've got this little area at the bottom that needs covering up. So I just wanted to put a couple of rows of that. I think I'll take this out of the way for now, because I've got something else I might put in between just to go over the edge of the ship. But I thought I might put that there. And I've got some white texture paste. I had it quite a long, modelling paste, and I'm going to try and give it a slightly bluish tinge. So I'm going to try the Broken China Distress Oxide. I've not done this before with inks, but I thought I might try it and see if I can just colour it a little bit with this. I think I've done it before with sprays, but not with inks or these kind of things. So we'll see if it works. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll try. Pour a little bit of that out. See if we can get it to mix with the blue. Can you see that? I think I've got more blue than I have texture paste. Maybe I need a bit more. That seems to be working. Okay. I've had this quite a while, so I'm thinking I might need to buy some new texture paste before very long. I didn't want it too bright, but I didn't know how it would turn out. And I don't want it solid blue either, so I'm going to leave it at that, I think. So if I have some white bits showing, I'm thinking that's when it's, when the waves are a bit choppy. Let's see, you can have white crests, can't you? So that's what I'm kind of thinking I might go for, but I don't know if I doubt if I'll get it to look like that, but we'll try. do. I'm just patting it to rough it up a bit because I want it to look a little bit like it's a choppy sea. That's the idea. Let's just lift that up. Oh yeah, that looks kind of choppy. Get that off. As I'm sure you'll know, you need to wipe this all off before it dries, which I failed to do in the past. As you can see, I've got some old, very old gold texture paste from a long, long time ago when I wasn't taking enough care. I'm going to use my heat tool now just to dry all this before I do any more. Right, so this is more or less dry. It's not completely dry. And while I was using the hot air on from the gun, a lot of this texture paste bubbled up, which normally I'd not really be very happy about, but actually I think just gives it lots of extra texture, makes the sea look more lively and more like it, we're out in the middle of the ocean. So I really like that, and it's actually dried, puffed up. I like it. So now I'm going to put my liner, ocean liner, on there, and I will just trim off its prow. I'm assuming that's the prow. So all this has got, looks like it's got some sort of plastic backing, which I'm guessing is going to, I don't know if it's meant to be sticky, but I think it's so old there's no stickiness left, so I'm just going to glue it on. There must be something here. I don't know what that is, but never mind. Some looks like a bit of wire on the edge there. Don't know why. It appears to be attached, so I'm not going to try and get it off. I don't know if you're picking up all the activity that's going on outside my window. I think it has died down a fair bit, but when I first came in here there was a lot of noise out in the road. It's because we're just up the road from a primary school, and there seem to be lots of comings and goings today. Considering this is mid-morning, it's not normally what you'd expect, but I think it's that time of year when there's lots of transition visits going on. So when kids are either starting school for the first time, which they would be up here because it's a primary school, so there may have been some children visiting. I know my granddaughter visited her junior school. She's going to go up to juniors in September, which I can hardly believe. And she did that on Wednesday after her parents picked her up. Went off to see her new school and meet her new teacher. And I guess there's a lot of that going on here because there's not usually so much activity outside at this time of day. Seems to have calmed down. Right, so there's our lovely liner on its way. And then I wanted to... Right, so I've got a few bits and pieces, as I say, I pulled out left over from my journal that I did. I've got this little tag, and I really like it, and I think it works quite well on here. It says, all journeys have secret destinations of which the traveller is unaware. A bit mysterious, but I thought that made quite a nice something to put up there, maybe. and I've got this bit, this, I don't know, this little piece of fabric that had been torn into a sort of banner shape, and I wondered whether to pop that behind there, kind of like that. I might put that up there, just to add a bit of interest and a bit of texture. And I've got a bit of string to go through it, so I'll do that in a mo. Then I've got a few other bits and pieces. I don't know which ones I'll use. I've got a stamp with another ship on it, so that maybe I might put that there. I've got a couple of word stickers. So this one says adventure, and again it's got the ship. So I was thinking I'm keeping with the ship motif all the way through, so thinking I might put that there. But then I had another one. Where is it? I'm not sure where this one comes from, but it just says travel. So whether that will go on here, I'm not sure. I've got a little suitcase, pack of suitcases, a sticker of suitcases. I don't know that would quite work, possibly not, I'm not sure. But I would like to put this on. I think this is from the Stamperia paper pad that I was using. I was using the pad of Lady, what's it called? It's a kind of a steampunky theme. Lady something or other. They do it, there's a man version and there's a lady version, and I'm bloated if I can remember the name of it now. It comes and goes in my head. But this is one of the fussy cuts. So it's a message in a bottle. You see that's rolled up, something rolled up inside the bottle. And I thought, well, quite often that might get thrown off a liner. I don't know. Somebody might throw it off the ship. So I thought that might be quite fun to put on there in some way. So that's why I'm thinking maybe I'll try and squish that down a little bit so I can glue it on. I could put that on and then maybe tuck this behind it. I'm not sure yet. So that's kind of where I'm thinking with this. Don't know how this is going to work out because of all the texture here. But let's do this one first. Just need my massive hole punch because I need to punch the hole. I've got the hole punched in my tag, but not in the piece of fabric, so I'm hoping that'll work. I think it normally will go through a piece of fabric. Goes through everything, this amazing machine. And we will attempt to feed this through. Just a bit of twine, very thin twine. I thought it would be appropriate. Almost looks like kind of string really. So I wanted that to go through there. And then, I don't know if it will go through the fabric as well. Here it comes. And then I'll feed those bits through the loop, see how it looks. I think I might just put a dab of glue to keep that where I want it. like that. Right, so I want that up there. I think I'll just glue it on. Just going to glue it at the top so there may be a little bit of movement. Well, not much. I mean, I could have put the hole in here and have it completely swinging, but I thought I just want it to have an impression of swinging. Doesn't necessarily, excuse me, doesn't necessarily mean it actually will be swinging. Okay, got that up there. Then we've got our, I think this is a vintage stamp, but I think I might just have it just going off the edge, I don't know, not too much off the edge, maybe just a touch. Have that adventure going there. Okay, let's glue that on. This has still got the whatever it was stuck to, stuck on the back of it. And which way around is it? It's down. Just having that slightly off the edge, which I will trim. And this is actually on sticker paper, which I think will be fine. Oh, I want to leave the world, or some of it. I need to overlap these, but I don't want to hide all of the word underneath. So, whirl. Just lost the D, but I think it's implied. Don't know, maybe I put it there. Hadn't taken into account the world, and I didn't really want it. Okay, I'll put it about there. Okay. Now, I don't think we're going to find home for. Are we going to find home for the suitcases? No, I don't really want to put that one there. I think it's too big. So we have the word travel and we have our message in a bottle. I do want to put that on, so that's going on next. I want to get travel on there somewhere because that is the name of, that's the prompt name, isn't it? Travel. So we're going to put that there. Maybe what I need to do is just trim it down a little bit. It seems a little big. And just a little bit at the top as well. Nope, nothing on there. Can you hear all that squealing? I don't know quite what's going on over at the school, but they seem to have been squealing all morning over there. I think it's one of those times in the school year when everything's winding down. They're going to be breaking up for the school holidays very soon. And especially with the hot weather, I think they've been coming home early as well. Okay, that will probably work. Yeah, I think that will work there. So we'll put that on. I had got the sticker sheet kind of just slightly pulled off, you know, the backing, but of course now I've trimmed it, I've lost that, so I've got to do it again. Here it is. So I might put a bit of extra glue because we're going on to the texture paste a bit. Oops. Upside down. No. There. Okay. Now there was one other little thing I wanted to do. I'm hoping won't ruin the whole effect. But just felt it needed just something extra. Just need to wrap my fingers. So I think I'll just trim off that bit at the side. Trim this bit off here. Okay. Just a tiny bit there. And then I'm going to try and add a little bit of this. This is the Nouveau, what's it called? Nouveau Glimmer. Nouveau Glimmer, is that what it's called? Glimmer paste. Nouveau Glimmer paste. So let's add just a little bit of that on the waves and at the bottom of the ship. Add a little bit more texture and sparkle. Add it under there as well. Using the dabbing technique. Whatever that means. So I'm trying to maintain my bit of the textured look, because this is meant to be water. Just have a little bit. A little bit there. Just add some bits to the tops of the waves. And where there's some little bits of white showing. A little bit in there as well. Okay. My goodness. It was a choppy day when they were at sea. That's what you've got to expect when you go on an ocean exploration. Right. Okay. So that's my make for today. I'm really enjoyed doing that. That was good fun. I hope you have too. And so there's some texture paste here, the gold, the Tim Holtz map tissue paper at the background, and we've got some texture paste making waves and the glimmer paste as well, just to add that little bit of extra sparkle and interest at the bottom. So yeah, travel and maps, or travel or maps, but I've actually combined the two, done maps and travel. So that's it. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.